Hello, my little goblin friends. It's always so funny because usually on the days that I do Crafty Rambles or Crafty Goblin Rambles or the Random Goblin Rambles, oftentimes those are the days, those are all done on like, days of the same day. What am I trying to say? Oh, I'm trying to say the same day. And so, for me, a fair amount of it's just like continuing the dialogue from the last video. And meanwhile, that's not actually what's going on as far as the world of uploading is concerned. But anyway, in the last video, I was putting butterfly wings into contact paper, or onto contact paper, and then getting them all set up and protected. And now I'm going to be doing that with some of these little dried flowers that I've been collecting in different books over the last weeks. These were some really pretty little flowers. I just noticed the tick tick ticking of that little pocket watch that I don't really feel the need to have anymore, as any of you who've seen any of the earlier videos that involved rambling on this channel well know, because it's not like it was something that came up in almost every video. I was very stressed. Me? Stressed about something? No! This must be some other wings to fly person that I'm never stressed incessantly about things that don't actually matter. Don't be ridiculous. That's all a lie, by the way, folks, if you didn't already know that. I like clarifying sarcasm because as a child it greatly confused me, and I had a parent who just kind of sort of lived by sarcasm, or lives by sarcasm, and when you can dish it out but you can't really take it. But anyways, yeah, so I just grew up being really confused a lot of the time, and I've learned a lot more societal context since then, to be societal and relationship and people's personality context, to be able to I'm so much better at reading the room than I was when I was 5. Amazing. But I still sometimes struggle with being able to recognize that someone's teasing me or being sarcastic. Is that all that was in this book? I thought I'd done a lot that was in this book. This was so what I'm flipping through right now is the driving manual of my car, because I did not have. Aha! I have found the other spot. Oh, that was a different one, a different flower. Oh, please, little petals, come off the page. Yeah, I didn't have any wax paper with me. Now I literally carry that in my car. And I didn't have any other book, which I also now literally carry in my car. Oh, good, I'm finding the other flowers. Well, but now, can I take you off of here? Because there are other ones like... No. That's okay, Wings to Fly. It's okay. No, I do not struggle in any way with obsessive-compulsive disorder and wanting things to be just the same. All the same. Same. Which is funny because I'm, as I've mentioned multiple times on this channel, someone who absolutely loves diversity in my environment. But as far as in my personal approach to things and my processes and whatever, I really, really, really deal with better if there's consistency. So consistency is not the opposite of diversity, but it was just making me laugh a little bit just now because, just in the last ramble I happened to mention something like that, didn't I? Or was it on a different ramble? I don't know. Because it's kind of a recurring thing, because it's kind of important. And then, meanwhile, over here, I'm like, it won't be exactly the same. Not all the same flowers are on here. Oh, wait, no, that's totally fine. And I'm also going to be cutting this up anyway to be separate. So all is good. All is good. It is okay. Wings to fly. If you feel like I say my channel handle name rather incessantly, it's because I continue to sometimes struggle with calling myself by my real name in channel videos that are not role plays. And so, in order to try avoiding that, in moments where I like the idea of saying my own name comes to mind, I am like very determinedly being like, oh, wings to fly, insert wings to fly here, so I can like kind of train my brain into doing that a little bit more consistently. Because I mean, it doesn't matter because I'm saying it in the ramble videos, so I can just cut those off at any point. But it is annoying to like have to cut them off, because sometimes I'm like in the middle of a thought, and also then I have to like go through the whole little area of the video right before it and be like, okay, this isn't an incredibly jarring stopping spot. Let's now get the little video editing app to come within a second of that happening, because it's not like I talk really fast and sometimes have a little trouble. Oh goodness, this little flower is very, very stuck. I'm gonna put this more into my line of, come on little friend. Oh, it's almost like maybe it's almost like maybe automobile owners' manuals weren't constructed with the idea of being flower presses. I don't know if you'll be happy to know this. I am happy to know that I actually ordered a couple flower presses on Amazon. One, a traditional one, and then apparently there's a whole thing where you can microwave dry flowers and leaves and stuff, and it really helps preserve the colors of it. So I'm going to be trying it, folks. I'm going to be trying it. Ooh, maybe I'll make the unveiling or the doing of that a little crafty ramble video. That could be fun for me. I have no idea if it would be fun for you, but you know, hopefully, again, we're back to the whole somebody might have fun with some of this. I think that's all the flowers, but I thought that was all the flowers once before. So now I'm going to turn the book over and flip through it again. It was tending to be the pages that were stuck together that were some of the flowers, and none of these seem to be stuck together. Oh well. Could be interesting the next time that I get out this manual and I'm like, oh well, hello there, little wildflower. Do come join me. Oh, do what you done before, baby. Oh, do that is from a movie called Tea for Two, from which I could sing multiple songs, but I will refrain from doing that. Cha cha cha. Anyway, I like to sing. It's just, I like to sing. It's kind of a thing. Sometimes I'm just a little bit silly. Well, my driving manual can go back in the car. You know, minor details of, you know, probably good things. I'm struggling to know whether I want to. Oh no, it came up. See, yes, I want to preserve this. Because here's the thing about this little 4-leaf clover book, folks. I did not press this, she said in a tone of some awe. This little 4-leaf clover was, well, fetch. Okay, I guess. Okay, so we're doing this. Was discovered by moi in one of the many old books that I have purchased and therefore now own. I might have been one of the ones I was given. And it was just so enchanting. It was literally just a little hug from a goblin across the ages. I kind of want to be able to like have that be separate and by itself, so I'm kind of messing up these little flowers. I don't know, this little 4-leaf clover is just kind of and then it was a 4-leaf clover, so like just the significance of that, obviously, it just means a lot to me, and so I want it to be able to be kind of preserved and safe. I don't remember which book it was in, which is the one thing that I sort of regret about moving in, putting it. Well, it was already in the wax paper. That was not me. I don't think that was me. Oh, careful, little four-leaf clover. This might have been me. I don't think this was me. No, this was definitely not me because I would not have folded wax paper like that. That is not said in a judgmental way toward anybody but me, because I, you know, I have to make things all precise and whatever. Oh, good. I was worried about those. I put them between the books. That's so explanatory. I was worried they'd been lost. Okay, that is too big. Yeah, I've also had some little sprigs from the same day that I was... Oh, that's why I was confused about it seeming like there weren't enough. Look. These came out. Some of them. I did a whole video about these. So many of the Morning Glory ones did not turn out well. We do not speak of that. But these did, so that's lovely. Yeah, I was confused because I knew that more flowers had been dried in the car manual because I may not have a good memory for names and, you know, particularly helpful information, but I'm pretty good at retaining information about times that I was being a goblin. Okay, I really detest the way that I approached laying down this contact paper. This is very suboptimal. Okay, well, that's, we live in then. I really don't like that at all. That is not very secure, is it? Well, I wonder if I kind of cut that, trim this. Oh, I didn't actually have to trim that. I could, whatever, it's fine. Probably would have been easier to do what I'm wanting to do if I hadn't trimmed it. Oh, no, because I was worried about it. Okay, I know why I did what I did. Okay, but this doesn't always work super well, so we're gonna, like, just convince this contact paper to stay here with my fingernail. Come on, little contact paper. Stay together. If you don't want to stay together, go to marriage counseling, because I really need you to stay together. I think it's going to stay together. We'll see. That is that song one more time going through my head. Oh wait, hang on, I'll cut off another one of these and then do some of these long ones that I've got going on here. So, being someone who just absolutely adores finding, because I found it multiple times. Most of them, by the way, have been four-leaf clovers, which I just find enchanting. So, so many times I'm going through, or I'm reading some old book that someone gave me, or like, you know, oh, I have a stack of old books. You like old books? I've got a bunch of old books. Would you like these old books? Yes, thank you. The answer to that is always yes. Books. Like, I have a stack of books. Do you want it? Yes, please. I might not particularly find things I want in it, but yes, I want to look through it at the very least. And if you're, you know, I mean, if you're just giving it away, I mean, sure. And like I mentioned at one point, like, I bought most of a friend's library at one point when she was moving, and she could only, like, take so much stuff, and she only kept, like, the mostest of her books. And she was like, gotta sell these. And I was like, I will buy them all. And she was like, are you sure? There's a lot of them. I am a bibliophile. And I was like, yes, I know, this is part of why we're friends, person. I will cut a different sort of a one to put that one on, because meanwhile, that friend is no longer really in my life. They didn't, like, exactly ghost me, but they kind of ghosted me, and sort of just, it was just one of those where we were, like, not like close friends, but I thought, like, dear friends. Like, there's a difference between, sometimes you have close friends who are very dear, and sometimes you have dear friends with whom you're not very close, and you have people with whom you're very close that are friends, but maybe not, like, just dear friends. And yeah, she was one of the dear, I thought, dear friends that just wasn't very close per her being so busy and doing all the things. And then just, you know, sometimes people sort of ghost you. And like, that's cool. That's super cool. But like, you know, just sometimes that's not. And you know, oh, they're so busy. It's okay. It's okay. They're just so busy. They're just so busy. It's all right. And you're just like, that's okay, because they're really busy and they're not in the area anymore, and I don't want to bother them. And then maybe you randomly see them somewhere and find out that they've moved back to the area that they're originally, like where you originally met them, where they know you still live, and they've been back there for months, and they, you know, didn't tell you. And that's totally fine. Like, they didn't need to tell me. That's okay. That's all good. But like, at that point, cool. Live your life. I'm no longer going to like really stress about you and our relationship, because it obviously doesn't mean as much to you as it did to me. That's cool, you know? But like, then that just means I'm going to devote my energies elsewhere. So yeah, that happened. That was a little rough when it happened, but it's actually all good. Probably all for the best. Very nice person, but also very intense person. And having grown up with very intense people and being a fairly intense person, some people are very intense, but kind of are very self-aware of it, like me, and like kind of, you know, work around that and like make sure that, you know, we're all okay, and we're gonna have a good time. And they have the presence of mind to be able to go, what the floof was that, when, you know, something maybe happens that isn't great. And she was more just like just a very just very blanket intense person, and very, you know, having strong opinions is good, but sometimes just presenting them as facts is suboptimal, especially when you're working with someone who has a trauma of being, you know, told who they are and how they felt and all the things. And so, you know, it's good to be, you know, kind of aware of that with them. I don't know. She helped me a lot. She was a really, really, really great influence during the time she was in my life. And for that, we will be grateful to her forever. Very, very, very grateful to her. And then, you know, just it got to a point where obviously I was not really on the radar. And that's really cool. Like, it hurt like blazes at the time. But like, it didn't really need to, and it was totally okay, you know? Like, she was on her own path, I'm on mine. In retrospect, probably for the best. Because like I say, very intense person with very strong opinions, and I was reaching a point at that point where I was realizing that I needed a little bit more maybe I don't know quite what I'm saying, but like, I needed, you know, if I was around people that were intense, it was very helpful for me at that time if they were aware that they were very intense, and also like, not just, it was good for me at that point to have examples of people who were intense and could be intense, but also had a chill switch, and who weren't just always intense in every given situation, you know, such as my husband, who it feels deeply and passionately and is incredible and just so smart. He's also just Mr. Chill, you know? And so it can be very, very helpful for someone who has grown up around people who are just predominantly constantly intense, and for someone who has had trouble in her life finding a chill switch. It can be very helpful when she's starting to realize the necessity of these things to, you know, be more around people who have chill switches. And so, you know, again, like I said, probably all to the better. Hurt like blazes at the time, but it's really okay. It is okay, it was okay, it turned out okay. I have once again forgotten that I could do that, and then just something, oh, no. this come out? Didn't this come out just so pretty? I really liked how that one ended up drying so much. Where, or did I have any of them in here? I thought I had. Oh, yep. Well, this is that all that's in here? It would seem that's all that is in this other book. This book that I'm presently flipping through is an acupuncture book from my days of being an acupuncture intern. No, I'm not an acupuncturist. Sometimes we take many different roads in life to get to where we want to end up, and going down that road was absolutely incredible for me, and so something that I needed at the time. It was this book. Hello. Very, very cool book. Incredible realm of study. I grew up with knowing about acupuncture and started receiving acupuncture in my early teens. And so I had a ton of context for acupuncture, which I could totally do a ramble about at some point if anybody was interested, and or if I just want to at some point. Not today though, because that requires a little bit more brains than I'm presently operating with. But yes, I have found multiple. At least I'm better at realizing that I left a tangent unfinished, you know? I love finding. Could I please stop picking up the one that's not open? Because it was a 2-for-1. But yeah, I love opening up secondhand books and finding dried. I've found mostly dried 4-leaf clovers, but I have also found different flowers a couple times. It has enchanted me. It's like I say, just a little hug from a goblin through the ages, right? So I'm borrowing the Ranger's Apprentice book series from my bestie, which is an incredible book series, by the way. I just finished 3, which was a really hard one for me to read. I loved 1. 2 was great, but it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger kind of thing, leading into the just horrible sadness that is most of 3. So yeah, 3 was rough. So I'm excited because I'm going to see her tomorrow, and so I'm going to get to borrow 4 and 5, because we see each other like every couple weeks, and though it doesn't like take me weeks to read one of the books, like the one book I read in like a single Saturday, but that was number 2, because it was very just like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then it did take me longer to read the number 3 book, because it was just so dark and harsh. The reason why I didn't pull out the acupuncture book to flip through here was because there's a lot of diagrams of the different anatomical points and some different anatomy stuff in it, and I just didn't want to startle anybody, because sometimes anatomy photos things can startle me a bit. Was that all that I had in here? Really? Oh, that's right, because I just brought those home. I'm so sad. I found a big leaf at the river park the other day, but I didn't have a book to put it in because it was wet, and I was like, it's fine, I'll remember it. Well, if by remember it you mean when I found it dried up and crunkled in my car, I remembered what my intentions had been regarding it. Yes, that is precisely what had happened. But I did not remember to bring it into the house, which was very frustrating. So So as you can see, when it's not a driving manual and I don't have like wax paper around, I'm much more good about like bringing along a book I am reading in, or a big, like this, I don't know if you saw, the collected poems of Langston Hughes. I am so excited, guys. 17-year-old me is so thrilled right now, because I first learned about Langston Hughes when I was studying like modern American history in my senior year of high school, and he just became such a hero to me. Just, oh my gosh, he's so cool. The whole, and then also just what he was such a huge part of the, you know, the Harlem Renaissance and everything. Just, oh, incredible. I love any kind of Renaissance period, and it's just, oh, I love it so much, and he's such a hero. And I've loved the poems of his that I got, or that I found in different collections or whatever, or I'd find in like, yeah, different collections. But a couple months ago, whatever it was, somebody in something I was reading, maybe it was an online post or a reel or something. Anyway, somebody mentioned Langston Hughes, and I went, "That's right! Oh my gosh, one of my heroes, right?" Because sometimes you forget that people exist or existed, and I was like, I want to go find, you know, the poems that I have of him. And then I went, why don't I have an omnibus of his poems? Excuse me? What? I just had, you know, getting specific books when I was young was hard because Amazon wasn't a thing. And so, you know, sometimes we'd get monies, and we'd be able to like go to, you know, a secondhand store or whatever. And very occasionally we were able to go to like Barnes and Noble, but this was not something that happened a lot. And the thing about secondhand stores is you can just kind of find what they take, and then or you can take what they have, and then Barnes and Noble's not always incredibly representative. Anyway, for just whatever, I never got an omnibus of Langston Hughes, and so this is a secondhand one. I always get secondhand books on Amazon because I don't always. I often buy books via Amazon now, but yeah, no, such a cool man. I've already been loving reading some of his. Ooh, no, I don't think his poems would be in the public domain yet. Would they be? It's like a whole, if they were printed before. Yeah. Yeah, some of these would have been done before, but not. Yeah, I don't want to like do any sort of thing that's disrespectful with intellectual property and stuff, obviously, on the channel. And so, oh, there it is. I wanna. I do want to do some read alouds that are not my original works. Oh, that's right. I need to start reading because I want to. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I really want to read Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol, and I think that'd be fun for the Yuletide season. I am Christian. I do celebrate Christmas. So, oh my gosh, I wonder if okay, that would be really, really cool. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find any like public domain Hanukkah stories and any public domain. I don't know that there'd be public domain Kwanzaa stories because Kwanzaa was created, I think, in the 1960s to specifically have a celebration at that time of year that focused on oh, it's so beautiful, that focused on African values and specifically on like African culture and values from, oh, I've forgotten the country's names. Names are so hard. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know if there'd be any like stories about Kwanzaa that were particularly in the public domain. I'll have to. Oh! But I could just find some different like celebratory maybe poems or short stories or folk tales or something of Africa or from Black culture. Oh, I got Phyllis Sweet a book of Phyllis Wheatley's poems, which again I had in like different collections. I haven't collected a lot of just like poetry omnibuses during my since getting older and like buying books, or even like when I was young and got to go. I didn't often get like poetry omnibuses, and so now it's like I'm like, I have random poems from this person, but I don't have like all their works, right? So I know, so I was looking up different like public domain poets, and I was like, oh, I bet Phyllis Wheatley's would of course be in public domain because she was from the 1700s, or lived in the 1700s, and yeah, so I got one. Maybe I'll have to figure out how to do some celebratory readings around Kwanzaa because I would like to. And then also, I don't know if I could find anything that was like more specifically like Yuletide focused. That would be really, really cool. I would love, 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 love to do that. That would be really fun. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited right now because I grew up. We had a big, Christmas collection, the Christmas stories collections, but we had one little book that was 8 different stories for the 8 nights of Hanukkah. Flower. And oh, I just loved them. And then we also, at some point, we got a book that was like latkes and there's another, is it the apple? No, latkes are the apple one. No, they're the potato ones. It has been a while since I read anything about, no, Hanukkah. Which feels kind of rude. I'm, like I say, I am Christian, but I still want to be able to be conversant in other people's special, holy days and everything. Besides which, they're so beautiful. So beautiful. Just different. I find the different traditions of various faith beliefs. Oh no. So cool, because so much of them are centered around, the vulnerability and resilience of humans and around just, the high ideals of humans and everything. And it's just so cool to see how different cultures and, oh, come on, little friend, you can do it. I was just talking with my bestie about this yesterday, actually. Just fascinating how different cultures shape the media and, of those cultures and everything. And, like how there's different media tropes in different countries. Art and everything, like all the humanities. Art being a blanket term in this context for any kind of art, whether it's that of writing or music or whatever. Anyway, and so as I was talking with her about how cool I find that, I was like, oh my gosh, how much of that is, the culture, of course, influences the art of the culture of a given region, of course, influences the art from a given region, right? Which wouldn't, but since, the culture of a given region is going to have been very influenced, obviously, by the religion, theology, philosophy of a given region, how fascinating to see the connections between that and the different types of art and media produced by inhabitants of said region, if that makes sense. Fascinating, 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 fascinating. So cool. So yeah, I rambled on about that. We Marco Polo, and the other day I did a Marco Polo that was an hour because I got excited sharing about my little fantasy world that I invented so that I could do it. Literally just began because I wanted to do representative period romances with people of all different skin colors and skin tones and backgrounds and everything, and was like, well, I can't set it in the history of this world because then I have to get into, if I have someone in a biracial marriage in, Regency period England, well, I have to explain how in the world that was able to happen, because so I I invented my own. And at first it was just gonna be a little world where I could just write these little period romances, but then of course, because it's not like I have ADHD, it's not like I have OCD, both of which are, brain tendencies to like really, really, really focus on different things and like hyper focus on the how and the why of things. But I also absolutely love world building. And I knew this because I loved other people's world building, and that was some of my favorite parts in like movies and books and everything. But as far as specifically, like as far as the cultural sides of it were concerned, and then once I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, that explains so much of my growing up and the different little things that I create for just the different short stories and whatever that I'd write. Anyway, that I wrote in high school and stuff. So I proceeded to I've created literally an entire continent on an entire world with a history and various theologies, and it's so much fun, guys. I love it so much. I've been working on it since October of 2023, and I'm up to like 160,000 words in the original novel that started it all. Is it finished? No, of course not, because so much of that is just scenes that I wanted to write about characters from the novel. No, it's not self-indulgent at all. It's very self-indulgent. And so I just need a whole bunch of connecting time skip chapters. No, we're not talking years. We're not even talking months. Most of it isn't even weeks, because that's how close I have the timeline of all this going on. I just need time skip chapters of days, at the most weeks. And I need to write those. But it's not like OCD has, kind of hijacked all this and is like, but is it all chronological? And what order should these different scenes that I've written be in? Because some of them are just very standalone sort of scenes, and it's like, I don't know where they go in the course of the development of this relationship. I don't have a single idea. Why would you think I would? I'm only the original author of it all. So yeah, 2 years later, I'm still struggling a bit, but it's fun. And meanwhile, I have this one book turned into a trilogy because I wanted to write further about characters that kind of predated the event. The main stories of which that I would be writing about predated the events of this novel. And so I was like, oh no, I guess this will have to be a series. So it's now a trilogy. And do I have scenes written from the other two books and plot lines going on and character spreads? Yeah, of course I do, naturally. Meanwhile, then I had an idea for a whole other book. And I was like, how could I make this story fit into this trilogy. And I just couldn't. It wasn't fitting. And then I went, oh, I see how it is. This is a standalone book. And I was so excited because, of course, the goal, the more that I got invested in creating this world and everything, was to use it to create multiple series and, well, not necessarily series, but like, multiple novels. And so I was like, perfect. I shall commence the first standalone novel of this series. And I commenced it. And then a couple weeks ago, I realized that it is not a standalone book. Actually, it might have been last month. It was a while back. Anyway, so yeah, now that one's going to be a quartet, by the way. Oh no! Oh, little friend, no. Apparently, by the way, guys, morning glories are incredibly hard to press because they're so delicate and incredibly filled with moisture. Okay, I'm not going to deal with this right now because I'm very, very sad, and that makes me anxious. And then more of the little ones. No more of the little ones. They were a little easier, one could say. I'm gonna have a lot. That's a lot of hair. This is gonna be a lot of morning glories that are struggling. Oh, sadness, sadness, sadness. Oh. I don't like this. I don't approve. This is being done without my. Ooh, well that. I wonder. No, this could totally work, guys. I could just peel off the one side and then sort of cut it out a bit and then put it in the contact paper. We could still use it. And by we, I mean me and my bestie. It'd be fun if I could share. Oh, this one. This was the one that first made me realize that this was a difficult endeavor. I'm just wondering if there's going to be any of these that I could put in this little spot right there. That'd be kind of cool, don't you think? So yeah, I got started. I realized something about the world. Oh yeah. So yeah, now the standalone novel is a quartet. Because here's the thing: if I'm writing about a member of a family, and then because that's why the first one turned into a trilogy, is because I realized that one of the main characters having these couple of siblings, I really wanted to write the sibling stories, and especially because of how it would give context for the female lead. Oh, that one came easy. Well, then that happened with this one, but just because, not so much because I wanted to like kind of explain more of the story of the female lead, and then just realized, oh, these stories are really cool, I want to tell them. No, this other standalone novel becoming a quartet was because the first one was about this girl who gets who joins this family, and she has 3 new siblings kind of thing. And I just loved the siblings so much. I was like, I want to write about them from it being more. I want to write like their stories. I want to know what happens to them. And so it's now a quartet. And then I had another genius idea because I've also, oh dear, like I wanted to write a Silmarillion from my world. Some of it, oh, so much sadness. Some of it so that I can know what the heck is going on. And also so that, in case I was interesting, and just because it would be fun, and because then that would mean I'd have to do so much more world building, guys. Oh my gosh, the world building that you'd have to do to write the Silmarillion for your own world, right? And so, but I haven't really known how to do it, kind of thing. And then I, of course, realized, well, through folktales and short stories, which I have so many different fantasy ones and period ones from so many short stories and novel starts and all of it from my high school days and my 20s. Welp, none of those could. Ooh, okay, we've got some here. These leaves, the color was so pretty. Really wanted to preserve it. So yeah, now I've got another trilogy. Well, because I needed one that was going to explain, like, the history and geography and everything of the world short stories focused on that. And then I needed one that was going to focus on, like, you know, the culture and theologies and all of that of the world. So I needed one that would focus, short stories that would focus on that. And then I needed one to explain the magic system of the world, because I mean, it's a fantasy world. Come on, it's got to have magic. Mine is. I was informed by a friend that it was a pretty weak magic system, and I was like, thank you. I'm not going to tell you any more about it, because that's going to discourage me from writing about it. Anyway, so yeah. And yeah, I have bits and pieces of all of these things started and written in, like, the you know, the table of contents things set up in the Word docs and everything. Yeah. Because I don't start, like, a multiplicity of things at the same time to, you know, bounce around amongst them. Again, guys, I don't have ADHD. What are you talking about? Oh my gosh, I absolutely have ADHD. And sometimes it's very, very fun. I'm not saying that, like, having, you know, a disorder is fun. Like, obviously there may be pros, but there are cons. But sometimes I enjoy the parts of my brain that are apparently due to me having, that apparently kind of sort of exist because I have ADHD. So yeah, again, pros and cons. So yeah, I'm so excited. And I was so excited on the morning that I realized that I had yet another trilogy added to my already existing trilogy, and this quartet that I'm now figuring out the characters of and relationships for and the plot lines of. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun, guys. Having such a blast. And so I just, bestie! So I started with Marco Polo. But, you know, because it's not like I have trouble telling a story and staying on track or anything. I have so much trouble telling a story and staying on track, guys. And so I started this Marco Polo to my bestie. I was like, bestie, guess what? 1 hour later. I was a little mortified, and I sent a follow-up Marco Polo being like, please don't listen to that, I'm so sorry, it's so long, it's just me rambling, except you're probably gonna listen to it, because, yeah, but anyway, I'm so sorry. And so then we had a nice little back and forth Marco Polo conversation yesterday about, was it yesterday I did the ramble? No, it was the day before. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, since then, back and forth with our Marco Polos, there has, oh sorry, I just hit the mic. There has been an aspect of, like, hey friend, remember how it's okay to take up space in our friendship? Oh yeah. So yeah, my bestie is amazing. And there's also just a certain element of, like, needing to recognize that if it was an hour Marco Polo from my bestie about her art and the stuff, because she's an artist, I would be so excited. Oh my gosh, I'd be delighted. Really? Oh yes, I can't wait to listen to all the ins and outs of this. So again, yeah, sometimes you gotta turn it around, and that's very hard to think of other people loving me and wanting to be involved with my whatevers the way that I want to be involved in their whatevers, because there's a very, very, very deep-seated core belief in my soul. I'm gonna have to listen to this and see if any evidences of my indigestion are picked up by this mic, and if they are, how annoying that is. Oh my gosh, wow, that barely worked. Okay, I see how we're living on the edge now. Ha, literally on the edge. On the skin of our teeth. Yeah, apologies. I tend to deal, I probably mentioned this, I tend to deal a fair amount with acid reflux, but as long as I'm careful about my consumption of, you know, tomatoes and peppers and things like that, generally speaking, I don't deal with just, like, the heartburn. Oh yeah, it's not acid reflux, it's heartburn that I have, that I deal with. Anyway, whatever. But, and I have actually this can be very helpful, because sometimes the problem is that your stomach acid is too strong, but sometimes it's actually that your stomach acid is kind of weak. Anyway, these are, like, good help your stomach things, and so I take those a lot of the time when I eat, like, a bigger meal or something that I know could be a little heartburny. Okay, how am I going to do these? It's fine. How about first I try cutting out of the excess. But yeah, so sometimes, and this is something I've more recently noticed, which I guess makes sense. Sometimes the more empty my stomach is when I introduce liquid into it, the more a bit of heartburn will commence. Or it just, not heartburn, indigestion. Meanwhile, in the morning, like I have to get started drinking like teas and stuff because I like cannot, I usually wake up pretty nauseous or whatever. Well, I live in a somewhat nauseous reality. Just because anxiety and whatever. And so often I gotta kind of figure out when the eating thing is gonna happen. And if I drink teas and whatever, it can get my stomach calmed down enough to be able to, proceed to eat. Meanwhile, some days, not always, but some days, my stomach seems to take that as an opportunity to get a little bit fussy. And then indigestion. So yeah, information that you did not need. But there we are. So I didn't even think to do the little pause thing, give myself I've been trying to do the thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to have to go back through and possibly make this video into two. I've been trying to start like, okay, let's give myself a little space to kind of figure that out and then start again. But I keep forgetting to do that. So anyway, hello, Wings to Fly here. Hello, my lovely little goblin friends. This might be remaining in the middle of the video, but if not, at least now I have a greeting. Because that was one of them, is I just like started in the middle. I just kept going and was like, yeah, I'll edit that out if I had, or not edit it out, because again, that would require editing skills, and I have none of those whatsoever. Yeah, some of these I'm not going to be able to particularly reuse for flowers. Okay, meanwhile, I think my stomach's reaching a point where I probably need to get a little bite or two in me. So, pardon me. I just hit the mic again. I'm so sorry. I need to find out if that's annoying. I'm presently putting on shoulder posture brace helper thing and arm braces because so I have chronic tennis elbow. I think I've mentioned that before. It's so much fun. And so that means that sometimes I get flare-ups. So I'm dealing with a bit of a bad flare-up at the moment. Not bad enough where like I can't still use my arms, but bad enough that sometimes using my arms gets a little painful. And by little, I kind of mean a lot. If I put these braces on, then it kind of helps. And I can keep doing things that I love to do, because sometimes just sitting there is not really something that I like. Like sometimes just kind of sitting and relaxing your arms, or like, sitting there and doing, using different massage tools on them, or like a TENS unit, is kind of like a seriously good idea and stuff that you should probably do. And or like sitting with a neck massager, which we happily have. We got it on sale on Amazon. Well, most of the stuff, like the TENS unit, whatever we got cheap on Amazon. But yeah, there's paint all over this one, because at one point I was a house painter, and by house painter I mean I painted both the inside and outside of a house that I was hired, a fixer-upper that I was hired to kind of be a handyman's helper with, and painting being one of the worst, house painting being one of like the worst things that anybody has ever invented to do that involves a paintbrush. Anybody amongst you who enjoys house painting, I'm so sorry. I've literally met people who they'll be like, they love house painting. Well, specifically, I don't know that I've ever met anybody who loves like painting the outside of a house, but I'm sure you exist somewhere. Um, but yeah, no, um, I have a friend who loves painting the inside of her house, and we'll just be like, you know what? We need a change. The family needs a change. And we'll just proceed to paint a room in the house because she likes to do it. Oh yeah, very refreshing, freeing, very good. And I'm over here like, you do your girlfriend. But personally, this sounds like you're creating your own heck. To me, this seems like self-inflicted torture. But again, that's just me. I found out very quickly that I hated, loathed, and despised. Well, I didn't actually. Well, let me rephrase this. I didn't mind the outside house painting as much when it wasn't, in the broiling heat or whatever. Because I thought that painting the outside of the house was really hard. Again, one of those contexts where you're like, I don't like it, and then it gets worse, and you're like, oh, it could have been worse that whole time. I wish I'd been more grateful. And I was enjoying being out in the out of it, but I was working in almost direct sun and with little to no, I had a baseball hat and I made sure to wear long sleeve shirts so my arms weren't getting sunburned. But yeah, that was kind of what I had going on. And yeah, I was working in mostly direct sun the entire time, which I'm kind of sensitive to, sun. I get heat exhaustion pretty easily, so that was a fun summer. Because of course, that's when we do these things is in the summer. Well, it started in the late spring, and then it became summer. Yeah. So while I enjoyed aspects of it, being outside, you can find a pleasantness in whatever it is that you're doing. You can find a rhythm. You can pick up I listen to music constantly. I listen to some stand-up comedy stuff. I made it work. I sang to myself. I created stories in my head. I made it work. It really wasn't that bad. But I found out this was not something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, kind of thing. And then it came time to start working on the inside of the house, and I was like, oh, sweet kindness is smiling upon me. I'll get to be in the inn. I want to be in the inn, please. This was not, in fact, an incredible improvement because, again, it was a fixer-upper. So the airflow in this house was incredibly bad, and there was no central cooling or anything. So yeah, it was still summer, and so I proceeded to then just sweat and work away in just musty, dusty heat. And as I mentioned, there's the airflow, little to none in this house, unless you opened the windows, which didn't always help with the heat on the super hot days. But it did help when you were, working with paint inside an enclosed area. I have some pretty strong sensory sensitivity. At now, probably because of that summer, I can hardly be around paint, house paint, room paint or whatever. I can hardly walk through that aisle in a Home Depot. It is so, one, kind of triggering and flashbacky, but also it gives me a headache. It literally just immediately, I get nauseous, I get a headache. And so yeah, I think some of that my body is associating with that time was kind of difficult in my life. But also I just think my body was like, hey, you know what? Bodies tend to have a threshold for most things. You used up almost all of your threshold for the smell of paint in that one summer. Remember that summer? Yeah, we remember it too. We weren't really happy that you did that to us. I'm over here. I was trying to make money. We needed money, gang. We needed money. Yes, we know. We still didn't appreciate the life choices you made. And I was like, I didn't really appreciate them either, but we appreciated the money, didn't we? Yes, well, we're not talking about that right now. Oh, okay, fine. So what are we talking about then? The fact that you subjected us to those awful smells in the awful closed off spaces and the heat and the everything. Like, I did get heat exhaustion a couple times. I have enough sensory sensitivity and avoidance coping mechanisms that I've never gotten heat stroke, but definitely have dealt with the whole, like, oh, I got overheated, and or I was in the direct sun too much, and now, like, my brain's a bit fuzzy and my limbs are weak and I can't hardly move and I'm kind of nauseous. So definitely have dealt with the heat exhaustion, which apparently the more you deal with, the more susceptible you are to it. So yep, thank you, universe, for that. How did I get onto this subject? Oh my gosh. Anyway, house painting is hard. Why did I start talking about that? I thought I was literally at some point talking about. Oh my gosh, folks, I have no idea. I'm so sorry. Meanwhile, I never finished the story because I got sidetracked talking about the books. My friend is lending me the Ranger's Apprentice series by John Flanagan to read, and it's awesome, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And it just was really delightful because she lent me the books, and when I got home with them, I noticed that there was something between the pages, and I was, oh no, my bestie, did she leave something in here? Will she need it? And I looked at it, and it was a bunch of lavender. The lavender that is now pressed here. Like, guys, this is one of the many reasons that we're besties. Like, just, the enchantingness of it all. So yeah, I was thoroughly delighted. And I was going to bring them back to her because I was like, oh, I was going to like replace them in the book or whatever. And she was like, oh, no, you can keep them. She's like, I love doing that in my books for people to find like a little treasure when I lend them. And so, yeah, no, those are yours now. And I was just, bestie, I love you. You're an incredible human being. And I adore being around you. Let me bask in your awesomeness. So, yes, that's the end of that story. He is annoying. I didn't hit the mic just then. I'm really sorry if hitting the mic. If I hit the mic at any point and it is uncomfortable or hurts your ears. I keep thinking it probably wouldn't be because I'm keeping all this wax paper to use for drying future flowers. Because as you have seen, a lot of the flowers I like to dry, or that I find, are wildflowers, which can be tiny. Tiny, tiny! Well, this is small. These are tiny! So I can just keep this little collection of like wax paper in my car and a couple chunky books and proceed. I was very happy the other day when I was well, actually this was the other week. Oh, this was over a month ago. Anyway, when I was collecting the flowers that I am now trying to peel away from wax paper and or cut around. I could use this in a piece of jewelry as well. Well, a lot of these I'm thinking I could still use in jewelry. So But sometimes it's like, I must focus. Some of them I'm hoping my friend can use in her, will still be able to use in her collages, her art collages. Because we were talking about morning glories and how much we both love them. And so I was like, guess where I found this place that there were these morning glories were just growing on a fence. And so I was considering making a little video of me picking them and putting them in the books, but it was like next to a road, and that was just way too much context for somebody to maybe stop and ask me what the heck I was doing for me to do. Because, I would have had to like set up my whole little tripod and whatever. Oh, were you filming something? Maybe. Go away. Can't say that to people. That would be sad. So anyway, yeah. So I was picking these leaves, and oh dear. Well, I'll try to keep you on there. The stem is kind of coming off. Yeah, so the two books that I had, as well as you saw, that specifically had the little morning glory ones in it, were Langston Hughes poem collections, and then the letters of Elizabeth Gaskell, who, like, Elizabeth Gaskell and Jane Austen, and definitely Charlotte Bronte. I don't know about Anne Bronte and Emily Bronte. I have no idea. I started Wuthering Heights. I tried it and was like, I cannot. So, and I have read a condensed version of it, and again, it was just, nope. But I like Anne Bronte's writing, but I only have read one of her books. Meanwhile, Charlotte Bronte, I have read multiple, and haven't I? Haven't I? Because suddenly I can only think of Jane Austen books and Jane Eyre. I have an omnibus of Wings to Fly. It's okay. I'm not remembering. But anyway, I'm certain they would all have been, feminists and everything. And then, of course, I had Langston Hughes, who was, as I already mentioned, a integral part of the Harlem Renaissance, and like literally used his poetry to talk about the need for inclusion, diversity, respecting human rights, and the need for Black rights in America and everything, talking about the systemic oppression, racism, and all that. And so it just kind of made me happy that I happened to have that I had brought those two as my little literary companions for the flower pressing endeavor, because I was like, I feel like these two would have jived if they'd met each other in life. And I love both of them and their works so much. And so it just made me happy. An incredibly random diatribe. It's been funny because I make these little, like, whatever these are, rambles. Some of them are like kind of body doubling aids, maybe, I don't know. And I always listen to anything that I film before I post it, because that just seems logical to me. Make sure that it's presentable for human consumption. Oh, am I done? I'm done! Oh, I just have one more. I'm so excited. And then I just have to put them on the contact paper. I don't have to. I'm choosing to do this, but anyway. So it's just funny because I have used my own videos that I am doing for, like, chatty friendliness, work aid, study aid, whatever, little videos for myself. And I'm like, well, it might not benefit anybody else in this particular arena, but it's helping me get shiz done, so that's cool. Guys, by the time this airs, it will have been some time ago that this happened. But today, last night, I had pulled open the YouTube app to check on something. Oh yeah, because I had a video air yesterday, and so like it's one of those things where occasionally I'm just like, did the thing air the way the thing was supposed to air? And it had. That's great. Because no, I don't have obsessive compulsive disorder. Got to check up on these things. No, not at all. What are you talking about? Yes, I do. By the way, when I joke about how I don't have that, I'm poking fun at society essentially, and how late so many of us are getting diagnosed with these things. Like, and I'm poking fun at society, the stigma that that so many of us have been socialized into associating with different mental illnesses, and also with just the lack of resources and the lack of dialogues that would greatly benefit those of us who are dealing with some of this stuff, in that it would have, by all that is reasonable to assume, have led to us being diagnosed earlier, right? I'm 34 years old, and I just, because of myself, not because, anybody who was ever in a position of like supervision over me, was like, maybe we could help that little goblin. She seems to struggle in certain arenas. No. This came about because I was like, I just need to know. I think so, but I need to know. And I have at last received, I don't know that it's the last piece of the brain puzzle, but it's so explanatory to have obtained a diagnosis of obsessive compulsive disorder. It's very explanatory. I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to get tested for it, that I had a therapist who was, able to administer the test, and is now to finally know, and therefore stop gatekeeping myself from, like, resources and, support or some, things like, again, minor details. Like, that's where my sarcasm tends to come out, where like I'm attempting to emphasize the magnitude of something by minimizing it. Like, that's a kind of humor that I think is very funny, and it's also an understated way that is also a little bit more lighthearted and humorous of indicating how important something is, right? So, but then in my concern of anybody who's like me still, but especially for so many years, can struggle with being able to realize that sarcasm is in play, I'm like, just by the way, come on, buddy, could you just open up, please? I just want you to open up. Yes, thank you. Yes. Ole. Oh, where the party at? Tangent. That is, by the way, a song from BTS that BTS sings, and they, I don't know if anymore because I'm not up to date with like their new music, but back in the day, they mostly sang, obviously, in Korean because they are Korean. They are a Korean. I'm sure you've heard of BTS. In the immortal words of somebody, they're a worldwide phenomenon and all that. Anyway, oh dear, took that off. But yeah, I do not speak Korean. I have. Mi español es muy poquito. My Korean is non-existent. I think I know how to say thank you in Korean, but it actually might be in Japanese, so I'm not going to embarrass myself. And actually, it might be goodbye. Well, no, because I know how to say goodbye in Japanese, sayonara. But what is Japanese in Korean? I don't know. So how are you doing today, my little goblin friends? You doing all right? Oh, completely sidetracked myself. It was when I recommenced, like, directly addressing you, like, anyway. I remembered the tangent I was on. So, yesterday, I was displaying indications of the tendency that I have to obsess about things, and that are important to me. And I was double checking that the video that I had scheduled to air, because it was just a little different than videos that I've scheduled before, because it was the same day. I'd aired it to schedule the same day, and I'm like, did I do that right? And I had. Lo and behold, it was great. But then I saw that there was like a notification thing for on the channel, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. What's that? And so I proceeded to go and check on what it was. And okay, so a couple weeks ago, somebody commented on one of the singing shorts that they liked it, or actually I think a couple of them, and like, guys, my heart just made me so happy. And I of course was like, thank you, and took screenshots and everything. And so that was just incredible. So that was the first time that I got any kind of a comment on any of all this randomness that I'm putting out into the universe. And then last night, I don't know when it came in, because sometimes I open YouTube and forget that the little red dot by the little bell thing is indicative that things have happened and people are talking. I kind of forget that part. Somebody had commented on the first roleplay video that I put out, which just meant so much. They said that it was a great audio, which just, I cannot tell you how much that means, because that was the one that was, I very specifically made the inaugural, oh, it was like this. Oh, that's so interesting. Of course it was. I very, very specifically made the inaugural roleplay video on this channel one of a bestie that was worried about their bestie and was checking in with them because the friend had been withdrawing and they wanted to make sure that the friend was doing okay. Specifically, representing this sort of struggle in the audio, because September, I don't know how much to like edit saying this because I don't want to trigger anybody. So I'll just, one of the themes that September is National Awareness Month for, which is incredibly important, and was the focus of the type of comfort that I was aiming for. Why is it doing that? That's so weird. In that first, oh, now you want uppies? No. Okay, so I'm sacrificing this one that was already torn, so the one at the bottom that isn't torn. Grr. I don't think. Anyway, so apparently somebody listened to it and they thought it was a good audio. And that just makes me so happy, because it was one that I was really, really wanting to be a good one. Because, I mean, it's about such an important topic, about being aware of people and checking in with them. If any of your loved ones exhibit any sign of a possible mental health decline, like, checking in with them, communicating about it. It's such an idea. It's so fabulous and great. Like, yes, let's please do that. And I was just so happy, guys. Like, I was just so happy. Somebody out there likes my singing and my song that I wrote, and somebody out there likes my likes the audio that I put out, and also I'm presuming felt some sort of, support or comfort from it. I just, guys, my heart. I was so incredibly excited about that last night. So, yeah, the channel has already done the hope. Like, 2 people on the planet have listened to some silly or little thing that I have said or done, and it seems to have provided a moment of either respite or comfort or something. And that just makes my little heart sing. I'm so happy, guys. I'm so happy. Like, literally. Ta-da! I'm done. You know, like, I can just back up. Except I don't want to because I'm having fun doing all this. But anyway, I have forgotten the YouTube handles of those two humans. Though I have screenshots of them, and of course I could just go and look at the comments. And also, I would think, since they made a public comment on YouTube, they'd be fine with me mentioning their YouTube handles in a YouTube movie. But also, like, I don't know that. And so, first of all, I'm so sorry. Names are very, 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 very hard for me. And so first of all that, and second of all, even if I could remember their YouTube handles, I'm like, well, I feel like it's silly to be worried about that. But like, you know, again, consent is important. It's almost like consent is critical. Oh yeah, that's because it is. And so like I wouldn't want to do anything that would make anybody uncomfortable, and I doubt that that would make anybody uncomfortable. Anybody who had like posted a comment from their YouTube account, I feel like anybody who had done that wouldn't mind if their comment was mentioned in a YouTube video. It just kind of feels like to think that feels a little silly on my part, but you know.
I'd rather be certain that I wasn't unsettling anybody than uncertain that I had unsettled anybody. But anyway, that just meant the world to me. It was so lovely. Happy, happy, happy day. Anyway,
I think I'm getting a little sleepy, either because of the... Also, I guess I've been working on this probably... Oh, this one has been over an hour. Oh, okay. Yeah, there was this one person who, I think I probably mentioned it in the other video on a tangent I didn't finish. There was this one person when I was looking up ASMR stuff who was like, yeah, if the video isn't an hour and a half or over, I don't even click on it. And I was like, wow, that's a really long role play. And then I was like, oh wait, no, that's definitely not that's not about role play. That's about the cool ASMR sound ones. And so I think I'm going to stress less about how long some of these ramble videos are, because I just feel like, you know, I think it's probably fine, you know? Hot take, it's probably fine. I feel like that needs to be on like an OCD t-shirt or something. Hot take, it's probably fine. I'm just chuckling because, as I'm sure you're aware, OCD just focuses so much on the possibility that things are not or will not be fine. And so just, you know, it's probably fine. I don't know why that struck me with such amusement, because it's not even actually that funny. Yeah, I think I'm getting tired. So yeah, I guess I've been working on putting things in contact paper for like a couple hours now. It never feels that long. I mean, literally, it's just one of the examples of, you know,
if you do what you enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life.
If you're doing something you enjoy, interacting, at least ostensibly, with people that you think are cool. Yes, I think you all are cool. Yeah, it's not as draining. It's not as overwhelming. So anyway, in closing, oh please, okay, yes. In closing, how are you doing today, my little goblin friends? Did you sleep okay this night? Have you been able to practice, as I mentioned in the last video, giving yourself, you know, at the very least, feeling neutral about giving yourselves permission to rest? And if you already were there, like practicing giving yourself permission to rest and recuperate and all the things, you can do it. I believe in you. Also, are you drinking water? Have you drunk water today? Water is important. Water is very important. Water is good. Water is yummy. And if you don't like how water tastes, which I've met people who are like, I just don't like how water tastes, I can't do water. It's like, well, we live in the modern age. There's a thing for that. Like, you know, you can just flavor your water. It's so possible. So, yeah, if you don't like how water tastes and you live in a region or area where you're able to get little, either you can get flavored water or you can buy the little packets or little drops or whatever and flavor your water, like, please do that. Drinking water is kind of important. I hope you're in a region that has clean water, easily accessible to drink. That's just scary to me that in this modern world, in many ways, because of, you know, the poor manufacturing practices and whatever, there are people who live in areas without like sustainable access to clean water, something that, you know, very easy for me to take for granted on a literally daily basis as I bounce over to my little water filter and I'm like,
I'm going to make myself some tea.
and, you know, run, you know.
Oh, I'm going to go take a shower, and I'm going to stand in a little extra long because hot water on my sore shoulders and back feels good.
Just not having access to that, just even in the very simplest of having it to drink. Like, and, you know, I feel sometimes like I'm one to talk because, you know, I buy butterfly wings, which my monies, well, these aren't butterfly wings. I don't just send any extra toward causes of, you know, humanitarian aid. And sometimes I have to wonder about that, about myself. Like, why don't I? I don't know. I get so upset at these billionaire people building spaceships and stuff with their excess. And it's like, yeah, I'm doing things with my excess that's not, you know, in any humanitarian, isn't any sort of a that isn't any sort of a humanitarian aid. So yeah, some of us have scrupulosity OCD. I don't know. And then also knowing that, and this isn't an excuse to not, but like, there's so much corruption in this world. There is some relief money is being assembled and sent to different places with officials just like those in power in the United States, corrupt, very corrupt people. And so the people who need it don't get what they need. It's the systemic oppression, the governmental corruption.
I don't like a lot of parts of this world that we live in, folks.
It's almost like I dislike it so much that I decided to disassociate, just create one of my own that I could disassociate into. Oy, oy, oy. I do think that art fills a humanitarian need to a certain extent. Obviously, I'm not saying that, like, I'm not presumptuous enough to propose that about anything I make. But I do think that there's so much of art. Well, like I've been talking, you know, about Langston Hughes' art. You know, he created poems that helped lead and define a movement, that helped bring people together over their culture. You know, and there's so many artists that have used their art, and again, I'm using art in like the broad sense of just anything created. And so there's obviously an incredible amount of benefit to the world for, you know, artists arting away. So please don't, if you hear the heaviness and uncertainty that's gotten into my voice about thinking about all this and how, questioning my life decisions and just all over the place, that's obviously, or they're not necessarily obviously, that's me working with my brain and how it processes the world around me and trying to work to have more constructive viewpoints in certain arenas. Meanwhile, if you're a creator, so there's people who, I just write for myself. You're a creator then. You're a writer. Do you write? You're a writer. Well, I'd never, publish my stuff. Well, that's sad for the rest of the world because then we'll never get to sharing your stuff. You're still a writer. Like, none of that diminishes anything about you being a creator, right? An artist. And so, if me having an existential crisis over here, which definitely has occurred, probably very indicative of the fact that I'm tired, please, a lot of the time growing up, I would be very, very affected by the existential crises of people around me. One of the primary person in my life who had those around me being one of my parents. And so a lot of my self-view was shaped by the various and assorted existential crises that parent had. And there were other things involved, obviously, but so please be kind to yourself, be kind enough to protect yourself from experiencing any sort of negative self-examination or negative spiraling as a result of anything I've said. Because you can do that. You can choose to decide to consider the source and say to yourself, no, that little goblin over there is definitely having some kind of existential crisis. But that doesn't mean that I need to be affected by that. And I'm not saying that you're being negatively affected. I'm just doing, I just started thinking, I was like, oh no, I got all kind of down here, like maybe I'll need to cut off this video. And it was like, no, because I think that's some of what I'm trying to do with this channel, is to normalize vulnerability and expressing it, and being able to see someone rather clumsily, if in my opinion. I feel like I'm quite clumsy with how I try to handle these things, but try to manage, because so much of the struggle for me about mental health and coping with mental illness is implementation. I can objectively understand all the whatevers, but it's very hard for me to understand how to implement all the whatevers. And so, and or to what to be aware of. So right now, I just had a little bit of an existential crisis. And I did it within hearing, possibly hearing, if anybody ever listens to this, of someone that could be, people who could be affected by that. And so one, it's a responsible thing, unless I decide not to air this, which I probably will air it. It's a responsible thing to recognize that I did that, and then to kind of damage control the situation and be like, by the way, I recognize I'm having an existential crisis over here, but I don't want that to negatively affect you, right? And also to talk about how to maybe mentally be able to process to not be negatively influenced by somebody else's struggle. We can be empathetic of, compassionate about anybody's struggle, but it doesn't have to become ours. We can observe and still not absorb. And that is absolutely something I am just really, really, really trying to learn and implement, folks, because it's very hard for me. I tend to be a sponge. So, please please be aware that you can change the channel in your brains. And if somebody, randomly, like me, possibly just now, or intentionally, which I hope you're not in any situation like that, intentionally kind of switches your brain onto a less than constructive channel, you have the channel remote. And a lot of the time we have to learn how to use our own particular channel remote, right? We have to figure it. Sometimes we have to find it. Just in therapy a couple days ago, my therapist and I were talking about this little hand signal that can help people remember, like, oh, when I'm feeling dysregulated, this is what's going on in my brain. And she just randomly, I think kind of just in passing almost, was like, maybe you could use that as a hand signal to your husband when you're feeling, emotionally dysregulated, and to indicate, hey, hello, I need cuddles, kind of thing, when you don't feel like you're able to verbally express that. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I need to do that. So I have found yet another approach for handling, working with, when the channel is on when a channel is on in my brain that is, not constructive at all. I'm working with finding a way to realize that and, be able to indicate that to my incredible boo. And I think that will be obviously it will be helpful for me. But I think it will also be helpful for like our relationship and just generally, good things there. I think that finding the ways to constructively, to one, realize, okay, I need a brain channel change right now, that can be very hard to gain context for recognizing, and then learning how best to change the channel in your brain, and or learn how to indicate that to others around you who are safe people to indicate that to. That's such a journey. It's such a journey, my little loves, but it's very, very worth it. It's worth it because you're worth it. This journey, so much of this journey of life is just figuring out how to life, and how to life inside the flesh Gundam that we got. And it's hard, fam, as you all know, it's hard. But it's worth the effort because you are each worth that effort. So please know that you're worth it. You are worth the air you breathe, taking up space, the food you eat, the whatever resources, time, and all the things that you need to use to, stay alive, and the things you need to, feel like that life is enjoyable, worth living, and all the things. Like, you need that stuff. You deserve that stuff. That stuff is good for you to have. There is, and you breathing doesn't take away air from someone else. Like, you taking up space isn't taking away space from someone else. So that can be something that's hard for us to remember when we were raised or have been around people who made us feel guilty for taking up space and using resources. But that was because they were struggling with their own shits, okay? You are absolutely worth the resources that you need. You are absolutely worth the time and energy to be the best version of you that you can be, And I'm saying that because anybody who's worried about taking up space or resources or whatever, those aren't the people who need the TED Talk of, you know what? There are ways in which you taking up resources and space can injure the fellow humans that you inhabit this planet with, and you shouldn't do that. Anybody who's already worried about that, I'm just going to kind of like throw it out there that they probably aren't on the path of doing things that are, taken from other people. And I hope that any of this ramble makes sense, and that it, could at least inspire some dialogues in your lives about how important it is to remember how much everybody deserves to have their needs met and as many of their wants met as are possible, and won't lead to anybody being hurt or injured, probably including themselves. Everybody deserves those things. Those are just part of the whole human rights things. But that means that you deserve that too, right? There are people who struggle with understanding that everybody deserves that. And then there are people, because they're so focused on thinking on how much they, want and what they feel they deserve. And meanwhile, on the opposite end of that spectrum, there's people who are very, very, very understanding of the fact that everybody has human rights. Everybody deserves these things that are needed and wanted. Again, as long as nobody's getting hurt. But they have trouble remembering that for themselves. It generally is the spectrum that this is on is, generally speaking, one of empathy. Lack of empathy, having empathy. Lack of empathy, nobody matters but me. Empathy, everybody matters. But sometimes those with a strong empathy can forget the everyone matters, including me. No, everyone matters, and therefore so do I. I love you guys. I hope you're doing as okay as possible. And give yourselves hugs if you like hugs. Like, wrap your arms around yourself if you like them. And pretend it's a hug from a friendly random goblin if you would like a hug from a friendly random goblin. Yeah, and if not, just waves. Please take care of yourselves the best you can. Please eat and drink and take the meds and do all the things. And believe in the me that believes in you. You got this. You're awesome. Rock on. Loves. Love that.